I'm guessing you're a lifelong learner in terms of this sport.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You have to be. The game changes too much. I'll go to the AVC convention every year. I'll sit up and watch the practices. That's my favorite part the day before. I'll go to other coaches' gyms, college coaches' gyms. I am constantly networking with people that I know, but it's just constant. I want to see, what people are doing in their gym and but it's constant. If you stop learning, I think you need to stop coaching.
This is the Leave It Better podcast, powered by the Side Out Foundation. Here's your host, Hall of Fame coach, Janice Kruger.
Welcome to the Leave It Better podcast. My special guest today is from Alabama, head coach at Bayside Academy, has been there for 37 years and has many, many honors and records that we're going to talk about. Her name is Ann Schilling. She is quite the coach, quite the leader. Just to give you a few things about her records, her awards. She was voted as National Federation of High School Coaches Association Coach of the Year. She is a Alabama High School Athletic Association Hall of Famer. She is a Bayside Academy Hall of Famer. We got a lot of Hall of Fames here. Mobile Sports Hall of Fame. Sports Imports AVCA Courage Award. And the Courage Award was founded to recognize a member of the volleyball community who, in the face of hardship and adversity, displayed great courage and determination to use their experience to make the world better and for those around her. And that is going to be something we're going to talk about and see many examples of today. Ann is ranked nationally in career wins with over 1,700. And I know there's a specific number. You can share that with us if you'd like.
It's 1768, I think, or 4. I'm not quite sure.
Yeah.
I don't pay attention to that.
You're ranked in career wins. As we just said, Bayside Academy is the only school in the state of Alabama where their classifications of where schools play in. There's a 1A through a 1-7.
Yeah, 1A through 7A.
1A through 7A.
Yeah.
And she's won championships in every one of those, except we're now way up at that top level, right? Are you in the top
Yes.
level right now, Ann?
Yes.
Yeah. And
Yes.
Ann's we're going to talk a little bit about the classification and actually what that means so you all can understand the depth of her accomplishments here. She runs a Eastern Shore Volleyball Club as well. She started that. And let's see, I think I've got I might have lost one of the Hall of Fame things. And if I did, I'm very sorry. But you are definitely someone that has been honored for your contributions to the sport of volleyball. And I thank you for being on today, Ann.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So a couple of things. You did play. I think we were probably lucky to get you out of basketball and get you in the sport of volleyball. You were an Auburn University graduate. You played for an exceptional role model coach, Becky Dickinson.
Yes.
Yes. And I believe Bill may have hired you.
He did. He called me up. I was about to graduate. He called me up and he said, "We got a job opening here." And at that time, I was kind of interviewing at different big corporations and things like that. And he called me up and he said, "Are you interested?" And I said, I kind of thought about it. I was like, yeah, I think I am. I'll come talk and see. So I went down there and the rest is history. I didn't think I'd be there that long. I figured I'd, be there a couple of years and then move to a bigger school, but I ended up just falling in love with the school. It is truly a family atmosphere. And, we are pre-K through 12 on campus and it is a really special place.
Yeah. 37 years. Is this starting of 37 years this next?
Yes. Yeah, this is my 37th.
Right. Wow. And your 37 years of coaching, what drives your passion and consistency in reaching playoffs every year? Every year. I think you've done it every year since you started. Is this correct?
Yes, we've been very, very fortunate. Just want to give God all the glory and the honor. first of all, and everything I've done is for him. I'm highly competitive. That started way early on in my, grammar school days. I was constantly outside playing, and, it didn't matter what it was, a board game, outside in the yard, just wanted to win. And, I love competing. I love coaching young women and teaching them, how to face adversity and how to win, having that grit and determination to make it happen.
Yeah. So what kinds of, how do you instill this stuff?
Well, I think our culture is really good. I know everybody kind of throws that culture word out there, but, we really try to, just give everybody a role, and just so that they will be engaged on the bench. 2022, I'll tell you a little instance. We were extremely young, and I had a freshman 02, and everybody was kind of going at her, offensively. And, so we kind of had, Lily was my only senior, and, she was a middle, and the middle that I had, my M2 was so versatile. And she was a really good blocker that, in order to get a side out at times, I said, Lily, this is going to be your situation where you're going to go in. And, she probably went in about 2 or 3 times in that situation during the year. And we get into set 4, we're down 2-1. They are just coming at my little outside hitter. And I said, Lily, we were down 3 in set 4, down 2-1. And I said, Lily, you're going in. I said, and so she did, and she got us a big block, and that was it. And we sided out, ended up winning set 4, and went on to win the 6A state championship. So,
wow,
it was just one of those things where she was ready when her number was called, and she didn't get a ton of playing time at all. Everything was in that situation. And like I said, it may have happened 2 or 3 times before, and both of my assistant coaches looked at me and they go, I cannot believe you did that in that moment. And I was like, this is what I prepared this kid to do. And, you just have to, you have to be bold and be willing to do things. And I think that's where, I think it separates some people from others.
Yeah.
Just the boldness to do things like that. She made me look really, really smart.
I love that when that happens. I think your coach, I'm kind of like some of the research I've done, Ann, there was a time when you were 14 years old that maybe that same situation may have happened, although I don't think your coach put you in this basketball game to change up to get more points. But she describes you as somebody that all your starters in this basketball program fouled out, right? You want to tell this story? And she says,
I was the last woman standing
14.
over there. And she probably, she did not want to put me in. I know she didn't. But she had no choice. Everybody else had fouled out. And, anyway, we were supposed to, nothing but a layup is what she said. Nothing but a layup. We were just holding the ball. 4 corners, I think is what we called it back then. I got the ball in the left corner. Nobody was near me. I
launched it,
chunked it up. It went in. And I had one of my teammates is like, what are you doing? Good shot, Ann. Way to go. So it put us up. I think we were up, 4. So gave us a little cushion so she couldn't get too mad. She tells me that if I hadn't have made that shot, I would have been cut the next year. So I kind of tend to believe her, but thank God I ended up making it, and here I am.
Yeah, I think you're living through some really amazing things as a youngster, and being so competitive and having some of these learning experiences, especially with a coach like Becky Dickinson, that I think someplace I heard you refer to her, that you were more like her daughter.
Yes.
And how she worked with you.
We had a really special relationship. I actually took care of her when she got sick. Yeah. And I'm actually kind of taking care of her son right now too, a little bit from a distance. So I told her I would take care of him. He's incarcerated up in South Dakota. So anyway, we have a very, very special, we had a very special relationship. And, she's a lot of the reasons why I've been in coaching for 37 years.
Yeah. Yeah. In these 37 years, you won so many championships, and what qualities do you look for when you're building that championship team? What are the things that you're going, we have to have this is our base?
Well, you have to have good leadership, and it starts with me. And just doing the right thing, setting a good example. Their kids are watching you constantly, what you do, and what you're doing away from school, at school, on the court. So I've tried my best to set the best example for them. And I think when I've been fortunate enough to have kids who have been terrific leaders, who are an extension of that leadership on the court. And when things get kind of rough and adversity, we've had a lot of adversity, we haven't won 3-0, every year by any stretch, but those kids, and it's been 1, 2, and 3 that have just been microcosms of that leadership out on the floor when things, because, you only have two timeouts. And so, you just have those kids who are just constantly doing what they're supposed to do. And we make them do things at a high standard. And, we put them through all kinds of adversity in practice to help them when they do get in the match. They know how to respond to that adversity, just character, all those things. Like I said, our culture is a culture of love, and they do love and respect each other. And I think at the end of the day, that's going to bring you over the top any day of the week over, you can beat teams that are better than you are when you have that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, you're an excellent teacher and coach as well in terms of skills and strategies. And when you add that is the sweet spot on the top, right?
That's right.
Someone said you were recognized as potentially the smartest high school volleyball coach in Alabama. What continuous things do you do, learning strategies, have you employed throughout your career? Just like I'm guessing you're a lifelong learner in terms of this sport.
Oh yeah, you have to be. The game changes too much. I'll go to the AVC convention every year. I'll sit up and watch the practices. That's my favorite part the day before. I'll go to other coaches' gyms, college coaches' gyms. I am constantly networking with people that I know, and just I've got, a really good friend in Melissa Walters at UWF, and we chat all the time. And she's just been a great, mentor for me. And, when Becky was alive, I talked to her a lot. And but it's just constant. I want to see, what people are doing in their gym, and just but it's constant. If you stop learning, I think you need to stop coaching. Yeah.
The part that you're talking about with the culture and the character and the development of that, and the fact that you're seeing yourself as the leader, starting with you. So many times, as you mentioned, they're looking at you. They're definitely emulating the kinds of things that you're doing. Like, you have assistant coaches? Do you have assistant coaches?
I do. I have a former player is one of my assistant coaches. I had a longtime assistant coach who actually played at Bayside Academy, who I competed with, and she retired a couple of years ago. So Julia Rosenbaum is now she's my number one assistant. And I have 2 other alumni coaching my middle school team. I don't have a huge staff. We just don't have, we just don't have the resources, to provide all that. But, Julia just had a baby, and so she'll be back at it in a month or 2. But, we're in our off season a little bit, but she's coaching one of our little club teams. So,
okay. Yeah. So you created the Eastern Shore Volleyball Club. Can we talk about that just a little bit, and what that's helped you with in terms of that area and educating and teaching young women how to play. I don't know. Do you have boys on this club, or is this?
Oh no, Philip Bryant, our commissioner, is trying to get me to do boys, and we only have 2 courts at the facility. It's small. We have 100 kids playing club, and then we have like 45 in our grassroots program. So it's not super big, but that's by design. I don't want anything that huge. I started it in 2003, and just giving people an opportunity on this side of the bay to grow and compete and learn the game. And I've got some great coaches who help me, and it's been great. It's been great.
They have their own, they got their own little personality, but I bet you they have a lot of the leadership qualities and things that you instilled in them as players for you. I guess this is a high school. I don't know if you have high school, some of your high school players in your club.
Yes, we do.
And you said grassroots. What's that define here?
It's grades 1 through 6, and we like them to be playing the real thing by the time they get in 5th or 6th grade. But there are some kids that, just got a late start and want to get to know the game. And so we provide, we have a little grassroots program in our region, and we play on Friday nights, Saturdays, Sundays, whoever's hosting and whatever days available. Some people are working outside, they're working in their gyms, and then we do have Foley Event Center, which those are, Friday night before the Saturday, Sunday 2-day tournaments for the older kids. Uh-huh. So it's a lot of fun. It's grown. I bet it's tripled in size in the last 5 years. It's just incredible how many kids are in our grassroots program in our region.
Do you find that as just with the level that's more TV coverage of volleyball? What do you think is pushing that participation for volleyball?
I guess I do think that's definitely helping. And volleyball is just one of those sports where you can still be a girl and play it. You know what I mean? Basketball is kind of like you kind of have to forget you're a girl, especially nowadays. It's just so physical. And, volleyball is it's just one of those sports where it's just so much fun to play. And I think we have, several, great high school programs around here, and the kids are seeing it. And, it's, when I first came, it was just a few of us that were good. And now, there's multiple teams that are great down here in the Mobile Baldwin County area.
That helps raise the vote for everybody.
It helps raise the bar. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
We're going to shift for just a second here. And if you're okay to talk about this, you discovered you had breast cancer, I think about 6 years ago. Could you talk us through a little bit of this experience? This is a challenge for everybody, but somebody that's coaching and teaching and being as active as you are. Can we talk a little bit about how this having metastatic breast cancer influenced your coaching perspective?
Yep. In 2018, January, I felt a lump. I was not your poster child for doing mammograms. I just wasn't, just too busy, just with life and coaching and, just caught up. And, anyway, I felt a lump. I immediately called one of my players' moms, whose husband was a doctor. And she told me to check a few things. They got me in really, really fast. Did the biopsy the same day that I went in they pretty much knew, I think. And so I was told that day that I went in for the biopsy that I had breast cancer. So he sent me to a surgeon, and they started running all these tests. And, next thing you know, it comes out, it's in my liver, and it's bad. In fact, when I went to my oncologist, because she ended up sending me to my oncologist, and he said, your liver's covered. He said, we're going to actually start chemo before we do a liver biopsy. So that's how bad it was. My bodily functions were starting to shut down, and it was just like I mean, I was like in a little bit of a shock. But I didn't feel well. I did not feel well. And, I just remember, right before I was about to start chemo that day, I walked outside my house, and there's a Catholic church right around the block. And I grew up Catholic all my life. And I walked out the door and I said, God, if you're ready for me, I'm coming. I'm not going to fight it. I'm ready if you're ready. But if you're not ready for me, show me what you want me to do with my life from here on out. I said, I realize that I have spent the last 53 years kind of living selfishly for myself, but I promise you I will live my life for you if you show me how, and you take care of me if that is your will. And that's the way I rolled. And so that point, it was just, I went to mass and I came back and I just had this peace about me, and I got chemo, and so I actually started feeling better probably 3 days after the chemo. And I text my doctor, I text my oncologist, I said, I'm starting to feel better. And I know he was, cautious to, and he goes, that's great. And, I just knew right then that I was going to be healed. I really did. And, I just thank God for just letting the chemo work, because if it hadn't worked, I'd probably been dead in about 3 weeks.
Oh dear. Yeah.
I did 4 rounds of that. I had, I didn't have any kind of side effects. I mean, it was unbelievable, my experience. Everybody's bringing over just all these baskets of stuff that I would feel like eating and things like that. I never used them. I never had to. But anyway, but after the second one, they did a CT scan. Things were looking really, really good. And then after the fourth one, he wanted to do a PET scan, and I couldn't get it. My insurance would not cover it. I had to wait a little bit, and I was like, okay, God, what do you want me to do while I'm waiting to get this PET scan? I said, there must be something, because if it was good, I was going to go get surgery. And so literally, the next day, my high school coach called me and she said, I need you to come over here right now. And so I drove over to her house, and she said, I have something to tell you. And she said, I have pancreatic cancer. And she said, I need you to take me to see Billy. And my school had put me on sabbatical. So it was, it was actually perfect. And I was like, okay, God, that's what you had for me to do. So we got in the car and we drove to South Dakota. And, it was one of the most beautiful trips that I ever took, but it was also very sad, because the way home, she was very emotional, because she didn't think she was going to see him again. And she actually did later on, but we really had some good moments just talking about God, and just shared a lot. She was not open with her faith much, when we were growing up. You knew she was a Christian, but she just wasn't very open with it. But anyway, while I was actually in South Dakota, I talked to my surgeon, and she did a peer-to-peer, and she actually got me the PET scan when I got back. I think I got it probably a couple of weeks later. And anyway, and so when I went to my oncologist, he said, I want you to come in here. And I walked back out of the room, and he said, I want you to look at something. And it had my liver when I first got diagnosed, and it had my liver now. And it was literally like looking at black and white in color. It was so drastic. He said, you got one small spot down there. He said, we're done with the chemo. I'm going to put you on pills and shots. And he said, it's going to clear it all the way up. And I said, Doc, is this normal? And he said, no, it's not. And I already knew the answer before I asked him, because I knew it was, it was just a God thing. And I was like, okay, God, you seem to be taking really good care of me. And during that time, during the time that I was getting, treatment, like I said, I didn't feel sick. And I was like, okay, I was kind of living though, like I was dying. I was trying to bless as many people as possible. You know what I mean? Because it just made me get my focus off of me and onto other people. And I think that's really what I learned a lot just about the adversity part is just, you know, helping other people. And then I didn't realize, like, I just started posting on Facebook, like, just these words. And it was all coming from above. And I didn't realize how many people affecting. And it was like until like afterwards. And it was like when I was, like I said, when I was here, just, you know, after just having the time off and just, you know, I was going to practice and stuff like that, but I had a lot of alone time and I spent a lot of time with God and with myself. And I look back and I was like, man, God, you've had your hand all over my life this entire time. And I just want to thank you for everything that you've done for me because, I mean, it was just, I mean, there's been some times, and I'll be real honest, I don't know how we've won. I mean, we've come back from, it's kind of like, you know, on a way smaller scale, but it's kind of like that Penn State, you know, win in the semifinal. I mean, it was stuff like that. And I'm going, God, you know, you get all the honor, you get all the glory. And, you know, your kids are watching you. They're watching you, how you handle it. Hopefully I set a really good example at that point of how to respond to adversity. And we had a really good team, but they were really young that year. In 2019, you know, he kind of got me ready for them. My principal goes, I don't want you to change. And I said, Mr. Papa, I can coach and get as much out of these kids. I said, and it might be better because they're so young. I don't think they could have taken me at, you know, Ann Schilling 2.0.
Okay.
I just don't. And, you know, and we won it. And I think that was the 5A state championship, but, you know, or 4, it may have been 4. I can't remember. They all blend together actually now, but
yeah, there's a lot of them. I don't know how you'd keep track.
Yeah, it is. It is. But I'd never really thought about like all the success that I'd had. And I was like, oh my God, it just made me, you know, just not knowing whether you're going to live or not. It just makes you kind of reflect on your life. And it just, like I said, I immediately was like, thank you, God, for all that you've done in my life. And I'm sorry that I have not thanked you enough before. But, you know, some of the most beautiful times in my life were during that time.
Unexpected blessings. That you probably moments in grace. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And people look at you like you're crazy, but you know, it's the truth. It really is the truth. You know, just so many blessings.
What advice would you give others with similar diagnosis, especially who are active coaches or teachers or really anybody? I mean, but, you know.
Yeah. Be positive. I think, you know, I don't think people really know what to say to people when they do have cancer. And, you know, it's like everybody's got their cancer story and they start telling it to you and you're okay. Well, this person, they've done really well. And then at the end, they're telling you they died and you're like, hold up, I got to get away from here. And it was just during that time, I did not need to hear that. And I did not I just kind of rolled like everybody's got their journey. And I did not want to know any of my results of my blood tests, any of that. They probably thought I was crazy at Southern Cancer because I'd say, I'd just point up and I'd say, he's got them. He's got all that. And I was just kind of going with how I felt. And I felt great. And I'm like, you know, I don't need a sheet of paper. And I wasn't one that Googled any of that stuff. I stayed away from all that. And I was like, I do not want to limit what God can do. And because he's greater than any disease. And, that's just how I rolled. But, you know, I would just say to people, just be positive. Don't cry in front of us. We don't want that. We don't want sympathy. We just want you to just pray for us and just encourage us, you know?
Yeah. I think when we talked on the phone, I mentioned one of my teammates from college. She and her sister both had a small lump, and they both are doing well. And after her recovery, we would always when I would see her, or she said this was happening with everybody, they would go, "How are you doing?" You know, they would sort of say it.
Yeah.
And she goes, they're talking, like, I know what they're asking about because it's very clear. But for her, you know, she had experienced it and she was moving on and kind of wanted to be able to do that. And then,
you want to kind of forget about it. You know what I mean? And you don't want to be reminded because you feel fine. And, you know, it's like, you know, it's there. You don't need people remind. I mean, you know, you feel great. But, you know, I think that's just people being, you know, genuinely, just genuinely, you know, and I get it. I don't mean to sound like a jerk, but it did cry after a while. It kind of made me laugh. I'm going, this person's going to die. And sure enough, the end of the story, there it goes. Oh, no. And, but you know, people are genuinely, but I am not one that likes to draw a lot of attention to myself anyway. So, you know, it was very uncomfortable in that respect anyway. I'm like, you know, so I just had to get away from negative people.
Mm-hmm. You know, the second part of her comment to me, and I'm like, why? She goes, well, really, I really just, my conversation when we're talking about breast cancer or cancer, the people I like to talk to are those that have experienced that. It's just a different connection and sharing because they know.
Right. They know what you're going through. And I did. I had a couple of people that kind of gravitated toward me. One was one of my parents who had actually just a year prior, and she helped me a lot. And then another lady at church with pancreatic cancer that ended up living like 6 years, which is, you know, unheard of with stage 4 pancreatic. But both of them helped me immensely. Just able to talk to them about some things. But like I said, everybody's got their journey. Everybody handles things differently. And, you know, so, you know, I'll reach out to people, but, you know, I have more people reaching out to me, and that's fine with me. You know, I'll be glad to talk to anybody, you know.
Well, I'm sure enjoying you. So here's a question for you. In what ways has your cancer journey strengthened your perspective on life beyond volleyball?
You know, I mean, I always had tremendous faith, but I was one of those that my mom was extremely I mean, she had so much faith. You know, my father died when I was 10, and she was left to raise 5 of us. She didn't have a job, but she just trusted God. She just trusted God every situation. So growing up, and you see that, but I was living through her faith a lot of my life, a lot of it. And I'd say, Mom, pray for me. And she goes, pray for yourself. I remember telling me that all the time. Pray yourself. You get in the word, you pray. And so, you know, I did, but I didn't really take that seriously until then. And then when you're faced with, God, I don't know if I'm, you know, when you're faced with something like, I don't know if I'm going to live much longer, the second thought was, I want to go to heaven. And then the question was, hey, am I going to get to heaven? And I think that was a life changer for me, because I was like, you know, I was far from perfect, but it just made me reflect on my life and go, okay, you can do this, this, and this different, and you're gonna. And like I told you, I told God I was going to live for him. And there are times when I screw up daily, but I always end up going, okay, God, I'm sorry, but I slipped back into the old mode. But I learned, that's the biggest thing I think I learned is, you know, tomorrow's not promised. I don't care whether you have cancer or not.
Right.
Tomorrow is not promised. And, you know, beyond coaching, all that kind of stuff, I want my kids, my volleyball players, I want them to know who Jesus is. I want them to know him on a personal level. And I want all those life lessons that we can teach. But the main thing is I want them to know Jesus. And because we all need him, whether or not we think we do, we need him bad every day of our life.
Yeah. You said sometime high school sports is more than just a game. How has this philosophy shaped your coaching approach? It's more than a game, and I know we've talked about.
Oh yeah, it is. I mean, every life lesson that you learn comes through sports. If you're doing it right.
Doing it right. Yeah.
Yep. So I mean, you got to have the discipline. You're working toward a common goal. You got to have great chemistry. They got to be mentally tough. It's just, it's so many things that, it's just like our 11U teams. I have a former player whose daughter's playing 11U now, and they don't know. It's just such a process. They don't know how to compete. They don't. And it's like you're teaching not just the skills, but you got to teach everything, communication. That's big. I mean, you got to have great communication. But like I said, I think you have to, it's more than a game, because it does teach you a lot about life. I guarantee you. And I think they've done multiple studies that athletes make extremely good CEO. I mean, all of my players are extremely successful. All of them. I mean, I can't think of one that's not, and I'm sure it's just because of playing volleyball.
Yeah, I think the sport of volleyball, it's you get 2 timeouts, as you mentioned, but you're not going, hey, do this, do that. Like, the ball is going, and it's 3 contacts. It's over the net, offense, defense. Really, those kids out there are the game, and they have to be able to make the decisions, to have the communication, in order for them to work as a unit. And I don't know if there's another. For me, I always think, because I love volleyball, that volleyball is the best example of a team sport. Teamwork is the key.
Right.
And communication, connection. Yeah.
If you're going through anything hard, I don't care what it is. I mean, I think, I think your attitude, is going to play a huge role in your wellness and getting out of that. And I just want to encourage everybody, whoever's listening, it doesn't matter what you have or what's going on, lay it at God's feet. He'll help you through it. That's kind of what I did. I just said, God, I can't handle this. There is no way you're going to have it. And I gave it to him, and I didn't want to try to take it back. And I think sometimes we put God in a box, and we get him out and we need him, and then we put him back in that box and we don't. And I think a daily life with him at the forefront, it'll change your life big time. And just getting up with a positive attitude every day, out of bed. Thank God for another day.
Yeah, that's great advice, Ann. You've talked about so many wonderful things today, and I want to thank you for being on with me, the Leave It Better podcast, because I believe that's been something you've been doing here for going into 37 years. And maybe before we go on, I wanted to ask this question. So what's it look like for you this year? You're 7A this year, right?
7A. We were 7A this past year. We won our area. We lost in the quarterfinals to Bob Jones. We have a lot of our team back. I like this group. I think we're going to be in the mix. I mean, we were in the mix last year. I just think, we were just a little bit out physicaled. But I think this year is going to be a good year. I really do. I like our chances. I do.
Okay. So you say it's going to be, you got out physical last year. So did anything change with you in terms of the kids understanding that and maybe trying to adjust that and become a little bit more physical?
I mean, we actually had we're in the morning. We actually had a athletic PE period 2 years ago that was taken away from us. And so we actually got that back in this spring. And so we'll have that from here on out. but that's our time that we can, work out and get stronger. We were, but it just wasn't enough. That's a great start. So, we just can't, you have to have those athletic PE periods, because that's when you got to have that time to get stuff done, such as, strength training.
Yeah. Movement. Well, you are truly a gift to the volleyball community. And I want to thank you for sharing your story today with us. I am going to keep tabs on you as to what's happening this year.
Okay.
I've really enjoyed getting to know you.
Yes. Same. Back at you. Thank you so much, Janice.
Thank you for listening. Please share your feedback with us at side-out.org.